Reject the modern liberal doctrine. It only serves to undo men and masculinity. In recent times, an increasingly prevalent viewpoint has taken root not only within the general populace but also among medical professionals. This perspective posits that the historical esteem for the physical benefits of sexual restraint is a relic of antiquated religious and scientific notions, out of sync with our current understanding of how the body works. A specific group of pseudo-sexologists have astutely exploited this notion for their own gain, fostering a widespread unease surrounding the practice of continence, which they label as a contributor to psychological and nervous disorders, posing a genuine threat to well-being. Based on this idea, medical practitioners and psychoanalysts have come to consider continence as a potential factor behind various nervous issues in young men. Consequentially, this line of thought has led them to recommend that young men contemplate liaisons with prostitutes, even at the risk of acquiring venereal diseases, as a preferable option to the perceived hazards of abstinence. A thorough examination, however, should convincingly demonstrate to any receptive reader that the aforementioned standpoint lacks validity and competence. It becomes evident that abstaining from sexual activity itself cannot yield harm, but rather consistently offer benefits. Moreover, when challenges arise within an individual who abstains from conventional sexual engagement, the cause of these issues do not lie in the practice of continence, but rather in the aforementioned lifestyle of sexual deviance. Considering the substantial presence of lecithin, cholesterol, phosphorus, and other essential components of nervous and cerebral tissue within sexual fluid, it becomes self-evident that it is the lack of these valuable substances due to incontinence or their loss that leads to compromised nourishments of the nervous tissue. This, in turn, triggers disturbances in the functionality of the nervous system and brain due to undernutrition. It is important to note that these adverse effects stem from incontinence, not true continence. This stands in contrast to the unscientific perspectives espoused by the so-called psychoanalysts. We have observed that an individual's physical and mental vitality is fundamentally rooted in the internal secretions of the sexual glands, and these sex hormones are present not only within the gonad's internal secretions, but also in external sources. As we've previously discussed, many effects attributed to these hormones are actually a result of the physiological impact of reabsorbed sexual energy. It's important to recognize that retention equates to safeguarding sexual hormones, thereby augmenting one's energy and vitality. Conversely, the release of sexual energy leads to a depletion of hormones and a subsequent decline in overall vigor. Furthermore, a prolonged deficiency in these hormones is linked to the symptoms of premature aging. This point is strengthened when one realizes in order to replenish one's sexual energy, the body must take from its own blood, bones, brain, muscles, and other organs. Abstinence, or the practice of sexual continence, is far from being an impractical endeavor for a typical young man of average constitution, diligently engaged in intellectual and physical pursuits, and refraining from artificial stimulants. While a prevailing notion persists among the youth that abstinence is an abnormal and unattainable state, numerous examples refute this perception, demonstrating that chastity can be upheld without compromising one's health and, in fact, increasing it. Many religious sects aptly underscore the fallacy of the apprehensions surrounding the supposed perils of sexual continence, asserting its role as a physical, moral, and mental safeguard for young men and a conduit to reach their deity.